This summer I ventured on another road trip to Arizona with much enthusiasm for being able to return to Sedona and planning to meet up with friends for a book signing party. I also wanted to do some hiking and exploring. Along the drive, I stopped at delightful coffee shops, which is something I very much like to do. One of my favorite places that was discovered was in a town called Gallup in New Mexico. It's along historic Route 66. It was really an enjoyable time of looking at the architecture in the town, lots of artistic vibes, especially downtown. After that, I went on to Flagstaff, enjoyed breakfast there before turning south onto Interstate 17. I arrived in Sedona on a Tuesday afternoon, marveling at the natural formations of the red rocks and the mountains and the pristine landscape. And since I had my new guitar in the car with me, and the temperatures were well above 100 degrees, it was important to find a shady place to park. Once in Sedona, I walked along the east section of the town and looked at the shops. For about an hour, I visited with a friend and strolled near the creeks and enjoyed the beauty of nature. Yet all the while, I was slightly aware of an unsettling energy permeating the psychic atmosphere. It wasn't something that I can describe easily or even pinpoint, but there was definitely a discordant, perhaps even malevolent frequency invading the entire area. I kept trying to shrug it off, this recurring sense of angst, figuring it would pass after a good night's sleep. Ironically, despite all this apprehension, I actually got a tremendous good deal on a studio-type hotel, and it was only about 6 miles out of town. It was an unbelievable price of $79 a night. I have to admit, I was comfortable in the room, and it was only a block away from Bell Rock. Despite the idyllic location, I was still very much aware that something wasn't right. That night, I didn't sleep well at all. I think it was the dryness of the air, because it caused fatigue and a sense of dehydration. So the next morning, I needed to make a decision regarding what I wanted to do for the next 3 days, especially before attending the scheduled event that I was planning to attend. But something strange happened. When I went to re-register at the hotel lobby, I wanted to secure a room for the next few nights. The price had increased 3 times. It was absolutely crazy. At first, I had a sense of panic, like, where am I going to stay? But as I searched online, attempting to find another hotel, there was no luck. There was simply no place available that I could afford. To me, that was a sign from Spirit that I needed to just get out of town. So at that point, it was obvious. There was a specific reason I had been guided to come here, and it wasn't for the purpose I had imagined. During the drive, I was sitting with these unsettling feelings and the sense impressions. And I took a lot of time to process what was going on internally. At some point, I received 2 words: raw spirituality. The moment I heard this, it was like receiving a long-awaited confirmation. Sometimes a person needs to witness and experience things firsthand before comprehending a new, profound level of realization. Such was the case this time. What I understood was that there has been a definite hijacking of the benevolent, earth-centered, positive vibrational energies around Sedona. This seems to happen in most places, especially wherever there is the potential for tremendous energy activation, like natural vortexes, things that can enhance spiritual consciousness. These areas tend to be taken over by archonic influences, generally under the pretense of a rapid spreading of spiritual healing centers, resorts and spas, shamanic shops, all sorts of divination practitioners. It draws a lot of well-meaning people, yet it comes through nefarious money sources, coming in to capitalize on the concentration of benevolent, life-giving, biogenic energy, not only for profit, but for the specific purposes of usurping or controlling the true beneficial effects on those who come genuinely seeking healing. I was able to witness this firsthand, the insane amount of shops displaying every form of commercialized spiritual New Age woo-woo. It is a level of mystical materialism, and it goes to extremes far beyond anything I've ever encountered or seen before. It is, for the most part, a facade, a disguise masquerading as a mecca of consciousness transformation. But underneath, there are definitely dark forces operating below the surface. Underneath all of the beauty, art, and images, pockets of nefarious potencies that possess a very shady agenda. I became aware of a woman who is living in Sedona and in a state of homelessness. She's specifically drawn there to clear these forces, to call in light workers, and to release the stranglehold that seems to permeate this city. Things that have resulted in years of unspeakable atrocities. By the time I completely left that area and began traveling south towards Cottonwood, I felt a significant release of these influences. It felt like I could finally breathe again, and the tension in my body began to relax as well. During the drive, on my way to Tombstone, Arizona, where I had been 5 months earlier, I began to understand the importance of returning to a state of raw spirituality. I think of it as a state of being able to bypass the malevolent influences, the edifices, talisman trinkets, the spiritual materialism that has been designed and promoted to create the false images of divination experts. And instead of relying on our own internal abilities to access superior currents of thought, instead we're being encouraged and seduced to outsource our personal power to symbols of symbols. And there is, of course, big money in this. Now, I'm not saying that healing techniques or shamans and crystals, stones, and any other natural item doesn't have energetic beneficial properties. They often do. But that these are meant only to be tools, something that should usually be gifted to you by a shaman, a guide, or even the earthly mother herself. I came on this journey to embrace, once again, the true benevolent wisdom of raw spirituality, utilizing the natural cosmovital forces for accessing power, love, and wisdom. In seeing this clearly, I came to Tombstone to visit with my friend, to clear the negative energy and reconnect with the raw land, to get away from the commercial authorities and to purify with the angels of the earthly mother, especially before I venture towards southern Colorado, where I will be exploring this sacred path even more deeply. Until then, peace be with you.